Today we're going to be going through the GameMaker Studio 1.4 tutorial section, and we're going to start with my first game, which is the clown game. So I'm going to name this clown game. We're gonna open that up, and you can see that we have 15 pages here for the first game, and we're going to make a game that's sort of like this. We're going to have two sprites. We're going to have a clown, and we're going to have the wall, and we're going to have a background, and then we're going to have a score, and we're going to have sounds attached to it. So if you open up this, it has instructions. So it talks about this is your first game. You click on this folder to get your sprites and all your resources. So here's everything that I need. And what I usually do is I copy and paste this somewhere on my Z drive or on my flash drive, so that it's easier for me, or in my documents, it's easier for me to get at those assets in case I accidentally close it up. I know where they are. All right, so they have the idea, all right, so that there's a clown jumping around, and you want to catch it by clicking on it. You have the object. The clown is an object. The wall is an object. You're going to put sounds in and some, going to create levels and do gameplay. Sprites. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in our two sprites. And we're going to do that by clicking on the little Pac-Man guy, and we're going to load sprite, and we have our clown, and we want to, there's a white square around this, so we want to remove the background from it and open it up, and we're going to we can click on this, but we want it to be centered, so we click on the center. So we're going to center that up. And it also says that we should modify the mask for full image, and then we're going to use a ellipse around it. So we have the mask properties. We hit OK, and that's everything we need to know for that. So we hit OK, and now we're going to bring in our second sprite, which is the wall. So we go create a sprite. Load sprite, wall. We don't need to remove the background because it's already square, and we don't need to center it because we're just going to place it. It's not going to be moving around. We're just going to place it. We're not going to truly interact with the sprite. But what we're going to do is we're going to call this SBR shift underscore wall. Hit OK, and we'll go back and name this SBR underscore clown, and hit OK. Alright, so now we have these guys named. Alright, so this is all the instructions on how to create our sprites, and how to modify the mask. All of these instructions are here. So we go on to the next one. All right, adding sounds. All right, so there's it says two sounds, but there's really three sounds altogether. So we'll add all three sounds and do this together. So we click on the little sound guy, and we click on our sound. And what we want to do is this is why I know where all my so I copy this folder so I know where everything is, and here's the three sounds that are in the folder. We'll just add all three of them so that we only have to do that once. So open that, and that was, I'm gonna name that SND underscore bounce, and then you just hit OK. You don't have to do anything. You can listen to it if you want. And hit OK. And create another sound. We'll do the click. Open. SND underscore click. Hit OK. And then the third is the music. So music, open, and that's music for the background. SND underscore music. Okay, so we have our 2 sprites added. We have all 3 sounds added. We go through here. All right, click and bounce we put in there. And now we have to create objects. So we go through the description here of objects, events, and actions. Objects, also known as instances, are what we're going to do. We create our sprites and we create something we can put in the room for the game. Events are things that happen, obviously. Actions are what happened during events that take place. All right, so these are just descriptions. Go ahead and read that to get a better understanding. All right, so now we have our adding objects. So the round ball up here is our adding objects. We pick a sprite we want, and we will pick the clown sprite first, and we'll name this object underscore clown. And we want it to be visible because we're going to want to see it. But this is an object. We're going to put all our events and actions over here. So we're not going to have this solid because it's going to be moving around. And we'll have all of our events and the actions that take place during the events in here. So we'll do that later. Okay? And our second object is the wall. So we call that object underscore wall. And we want it to be visible, of course. And we're going to make this solid. All right, so the wall isn't going to be moving around. It's going to be stationary. So we can make that a solid object so that the sprite or the clown object can interact with. Click OK. This describes that we click on solid and visible for the wall object. Click OK to close it. So we did all that. Now we're going to create an event. All right, so this has our information on how to, so we go on a clown object. We have add an event. We click on that. We have all our choices in here of things to pick. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create, and we're going to pick our fixed motion. We click and drag it over, so we have move fixed. And so when we pick this, we should already know we can pick one or more directions here, and it'll randomly select. So this is our clown, and when the game starts and the clown's created, it's going to move if we give it a speed. So this says give it a speed of 4, and it'll randomly pick one of these directions. Okay, if we deselect, so what's red is selected. If we deselect it, then it'll only pick one of these 4 directions. If we only had those 2, it'll randomly select one of those 2. But we're going to want the clown can go in any direction. If we pick this, it wouldn't move at all. And we want the self means the object that we're putting this on, and that's the clown object. And a speed of 4 means it's constant speed of 4, speed of 4. If we do relative, it'll be 4, and every time a frame cycles through, it'll go 4 more, 4 more, 4 more, 4 more. So it'll always be 4 more than it was previous frames. So we want it to stay constant at 4, so we won't click on that relative. So when we hit OK. So now we have a clown, and the clown will move. So let's hit OK, and let's create a room. And in this room, we don't have anything. We could change the background color If you want to do something, say light green, you can pick that and hit OK. Now that's a light green color. And we go under objects. Here's our clown. If I click here, we have one clown, and we put code on it. So let's hit save, and let's see what happens. So takes a second to run, and you see the clown goes off in a random direction. It went that way, and it just goes off forever. So we don't really want that to happen. So we can change our objects now, and we can do our object, and we want this the width of the room to be 640, and the height to be 480, and I just right click, and it drops the object that I have selected over here in our objects, and that's our crate or wall. Alright, so there's a little left, so I'll put that there, and then that fits nice. And move this down and put one there. Alright, so file, save. So now we have our room created. And I could, if I want this guy over here, I could drag it, put him more towards the middle. If I want to get rid of anything, I could just hit delete, and that gets rid of it. That's right click delete. If I left click, it appears again. And then I hit this little green check mark, and that means okay, that's good, just the way I like it. Alright, so we did all this with the motion. And we saw how that works. Now we're going to add a collision event, and we're going to have it bounce off. So we go back to the clown, and we add an event, and the event we're going to have is a collision, and it's when the clown bounces with the wall. And when it collides with the wall, we're going to want it to bounce off. Right? We want the clown itself to bounce off. And the wall is a solid object, so it'll bounce off it. And we don't really care. It doesn't have to be precise. So we go, okay, that's fine. So now let's file, save, and let's take a look at what happens when we hit play. Okay. So you see it, he bounces off, bounces around. Stays in our room. All right. So we want to add some sounds to this. So we just come over here and to the main one, and we have sound. We pull this in, and the sound we're going to select is our bounce. And we don't want it to loop, because then it'll play the over and over and over again the first time it happens. So we just want it to play once when it collides. When it collides with the wall, it'll bounce and play the sound. And file, save. All right, so it goes boink. Every time it hits it, you get a noise, and that's what we want. All right, so press OK, close it up. I don't think it has anything else there. So now we have a mouse event. So we have our clown. We're going to add a mouse event to it. So we have this is our clown. Add event. We want a mouse event, and we want that to be the left pressed. All right, so we have the left pressed, and when that happens, we're going to set the score, set score, and we want the score to be 10 more and relative. That means every time we click on it, we get 10 more points, and 10 more points, and 10 more points. If we didn't have that clicked, you would get 10, and then the next time you clicked on it, you would still have 10, so you would only go, it would always be 10. So if relative means 10 more and 10 more and 10 more every time we do this action. And we're going to play a sound when we do that. And it's going to be that click sound. And we only want that to play the one time it goes through there. And we're going to want him to jump. So we want him to jump to a random spot. So self is a clown, and we want it to go to a random spot. We leave everything as it is. And then we include a fixed move. And now this fixed move, so once we click it, we can pick all 8 arrows like we did before. So it's going to go to a random spot, the self is. And we're going to add 0.5 and make that relative, which means we started at 4, it's going to do 0.5 more, 0.5 more, 0.5 more. So it's going to be faster and faster and faster every time you click on it. Or it says here if you wanted to slow it down after you click on it, you could do a -5. So hit OK. So that's in there. And this says everything's OK, so we can hit OK. And then we go File, Save. And then we go ahead and run it. Alright, so we get our noises, and then when I click on it, it goes to a random spot. And it's going faster and faster, faster, faster. Every time I click on it, it goes a little bit faster. You can see that happening. And I'm getting points for it, but we don't see that yet. Alright, so we're gonna have to we already added a room. And put those guys in there so that we can see it, what we're doing. We already saved it. Well, we saved it. We tested it a bunch of times. Make sure it works. All right, so now we're already on page 12 out of 15. And what we need to do is put in a background. So up here we have the add backgrounds. So we click on that. And we're looking for a background, and once again I want to go to where I saved everything. There it says background. We hit open. Alright, there we go. And we could just leave it background 1, background 0. You could put anything you want, but we only use one background for this. So we'll just use the one. So we go, okay, that's great. Now we come into our room, and under backgrounds, we have this under the background section. We go, okay, we'll get a background. So now we have a background in there. That's nice. Check that. That's all we need to do there. That shows you how to do that. So we got background. So now okay, so the game is kind of simple to click it. So we're gonna make it a little trickier. We're gonna do a little more randomization in here using an alarm event. So it says reopen the clown object. So we reopen them, and in the create set an alarm clock. So we have alarm clock, and we'll do it in 60 steps. So it says okay. Alright, 60 would be, there's 30 steps per second as frames per second as the game goes through. So 60 means every 2 seconds. Alright, the number was 0, alarm is 0. So now we add the event and choose the button alarm. So we add an event and we choose alarm. We choose alarm 0. Exactly as it was. This will cause a loop to happen. Run every 2 seconds of your game. Test your game now, and you'll find Oh, we got to put a move fixed. So we got move, fixed move. Select all 8 arrows and set the speed to 0, but unlike previous, make it relative so it doesn't change it. So, and then hit OK. Alright, so now file, save. Let's run it and see what happens. Alright, so every 2 seconds it should do a little, oh, see, it does a little juke here and there. It's going. Did it once. Okay, so we have to put in another alarm clock where we put the alarm. So we have this inside the alarm. We put in another alarm clock and include another set alarm action and set it to 60 steps. Alarm 0. Alright, and hit OK. Alright, so let's file, save. So let's run that again. Alright, so there it juked. There it juked again. So every 2 seconds he does a little juke. So we have our create, start in moving direction, and we have that all 8 with a speed of 4. And then we have set alarm every 2 seconds, alarm 0. And then we have alarm 0, and once again we have it all 8, and we make them relative. So it's 0 more each time. Hit OK. And then we put in another set alarm for 2 seconds. And then we hit OK. And we have our object where it bounces off solid objects, and we play a sound. And then we have our click that sets in 10 points for each one and jumps to a random position. Alright, so we're doing pretty good now. Alright, so we test our game. Now we can also make the clown face go in a direction that represents different things. So what we want to do, okay, so we're going to want to change the direction of the sprite so that the little guy is facing the direction that he's moving in. And what we do is we go to main one and we pick our transform sprite, and under angle we're going to write the word direction. Right, so GameMaker already knows that this is code. We can do things like we can scale it so that it's bigger or larger, or have it mirror other objects, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to have it change its direction. All right, so every time it starts moving in a direction, so let's copy that. We want it to transform into that. So we're going to put that, paste that in all of them. All right, we're going to paste those in all of them. And then we hit OK, and we hit File, Save, and then we test this game. So we'll see what happens. So his head's going, see his head changes in all the directions that he goes in. When we click it, and when it appears, it changes each time. So it's always, he's always has his little star facing in the direction that he moves, and his feet away from the way he moves. Alright, so there we did that. Alright, so we're on page 14. Alright, so we're going to create a controller object. And what we do is we click on object, and we call it object underscore controller. Alright, and we want to create sounds, the sound of music that we already have. So we had add event, create, and then we go into sound, and we pick sound of music. Now this is the background music, so this we're going to actually have loop over and over again. So when it gets to the end, it's going to start over and go over and over again. And then what we do, save this, and we go to the room, and we take our objects, and we place our object controller. There it is, that little blue dot. We can put it anywhere, drag it around, put it right there. File, save, and test that. So we got that music in the background, and it's going to play the whole time we play this game. That music's going to keep playing over and over again. So we have all three sounds in there, and remember, we're getting points. We're going to have to display those points now so that we can actually see them. So let's check mark there. All right, so what we want to do is we have our object controller. So let's open that up, and we are going to finally finish this up by putting on our score. So we're going to get the draw event, just draw, and we want our score. So we have the draw score, and so we'll get a X and Y position. We'll have it at 64 and 64, and we want our score to be added up. So we just leave that word score. You could put points, caption. It's going to be our score. We have 10 points each, but if we were like collecting eggs or mushrooms or something like that, we could have the word eggs collected, mushrooms, all the rest of it. So hit OK. File, save. Let's run that. We already put our object controller. So we're changing it. We're changing object controller, but we already put it into our room, so we don't have to do that over again. Run this again. There we go. Okay, so the score, here's the score right here. 10 points, 20 points, 30 points, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Alright, so that's basically the whole game. Some of the things we could have changed here is the score comes out in this black text. This is a dark screen. We could have changed the screen background. So as you can see, if we go into the room, and if we go into backgrounds, and we have this green background. Now this is we can move this over up into the corner there. Change it to a green background. That's okay. File, save, and run. And you can see now the score's up a little higher. You can see it better with the pastel background. So there's a lot you can do. There's a lot of backgrounds, wood backgrounds. There's a lot of different things we can use to go in there. And if you watch the previous video where we made a click game with Apple, and you can look into some of the other videos. It had all about adding more levels and adding a title page and adding a victory at the end. So this was it. Page 15 is just a summary of everything you did. So you can go in there and you can create more rooms. You can either duplicate the rooms you have, or you can click this to add new rooms, to add new levels. And like I said, if you watch the previous video, which is GameMaker video tutorial lesson 3, making your first game, you can see how to add more things to take these 2 videos and create a new game with that. Also, there was a tutorial for the GameMaker 8.1 that showed how to create your first game with like a fruit click and putting bombs, putting you know, things that you don't want to click, bounce things, change the room, add things to it. So that is all I have for this video. Thank you for watching, and the next video we should have will be creating something like an asteroid game. All right, have a good one.